Welcome back. I am Andrew Keller. I'm joined today with Ben Barnett of Family Farm Direct. Thanks for joining me today.
You're welcome.
How has the summer been for you?
It's great. People are still eating, so I'm in business.
So set the stage for everybody. Family Farm Direct, kind of your story, how we got here to 2026.
Yeah, most entrepreneurs in life, they want to fix the problem. And so I grew up in agriculture. I loved it. We milked 200 cows, 4 a.m., 4 p.m. every day of the week, 7 days a week. And I loved it. And it was kind of my plan. And so as I finished high school and went on to college to do some, business management and ag management and veterinary science, I was considering being a vet. I had a discussion with the family, and, there really wasn't a spot there. And so I went to work for a large dairy, and we milked, 9,000 animals, and I got the big picture on where our food comes from, a lot of it. And I loved it, and I said, hey, I'd love to do this for my whole life, but I'd like to own it because I have this entrepreneurial spirit, right? And it was a 10th generation farm, and that was a big ask, because it's always been that family for 10 generations. And so they said, hey, we'll offer you cows, but we're just not ready to open it up yet. And I said, I totally understand. So for me to work on a 24/7 farm that's an hour away from my house, when the kids started coming, we decided to look for something closer to home.
Sure.
And so then I joined Martin's Elevator out of Hagerstown.
Okay.
And I was on their consulting crew to help farmers increase their efficiency, lower their cost, and improve their profits. And I love that job.
Okay.
I really loved it.
Martin's is a great operation.
Yeah, they're great people. And so I did that for 10 years. And I got to have continuing ed just like doctors and nurses. I held a certified crop advisor designation, and then I also held a professional animal scientist designation, which is specific to animal nutrition. So protein, starch, sugars, carbohydrates. We would balance all those for any animal group that we were feeding. And it was great. I loved it. And the client base was just awesome. I mean, farmers today are the bedrock of society and of our existence because of our food supply, and they're good people. And I love working for them. The pivot point for me to go into entrepreneurship was a generational shift. So the average age of the farmer is 58.9 years old. It's the oldest workforce in the country. And somebody's going to have to take over. And what I found was a fair number of customers, they attempted that transition, but the highest and best use for their farm was development, solar panels, warehouses. And I was like, how can I help a farmer in that scenario?
Yeah.
And it's all about market. There's no amount of cost cutting that I could give them to outweigh that one-time check for the family.
Yep.
So that's what inspired Family Farm Direct. We're developing a new market for farmers to consider supplying instead of the commodity market. We're trying to change the farmers' thinking to consider producing food for direct markets. And there's always been direct markets through farmers markets, which is great. But our farms that have been producing commodities produce at such scale.
And when you say commodity for the viewers,
right.
What's commodity specifically?
Right. So commodity specifically would be like corn, soybeans, wheat, live cattle, hogs, eggs, and poultry. Those are all traded on the stock market. And that's a little bit of another issue that I ran into, is that we just went through a tariff season, and that decimated our ag markets, and it had nothing to do with the farmer. The farmer could grow the best corn, they could grow the best soybeans, they could grow the best wheat, they could grow the best cotton, and it didn't matter. They lost money. So the farmers that are producing the best product are not getting paid to do a good job. So why do a good job? And as a consultant, that was my whole purpose, was to show up to the farm and help them do better. But they still lost money.
Yeah.
Well, then, am I really helping a farmer? It was the question in my mind. And so today, in my role with Family Farm Direct, I view every day I wake up and I truly help farmers by expanding markets that they never had before. Now, can I help every client that I used to work for? No, because some of them ship a tanker load of milk every other day, a semi-trailer of milk. So for me to build that market, it's going to take time. But we've developed a lot of great products and a lot of great buyer relationships already that we're really excited to build on.
So when it comes to kind of like your process of, and please interrupt me here, of like, okay, we've identified a farm, we'll say 100 acres, family farm, maybe they're a good fit. What does that process look like from first contact to, okay, now they're established with us?
Right. So the onboarding is a great process that we've been building, and the neat thing is that came from my experience as a consultant.
Okay.
So basically what I ended up doing is taking my customer list or my client profile, my Rolodex, and my Rolodex, my old school Rolodex, and basically using that as my prospect list on the producer side of things to see which one would be the best fit. And to be honest, when you're a startup, you got to focus on the low-hanging fruit. So anybody that was already involved in doing direct product development or processing or packaging, those are my first guys I called.
Okay.
So I had a USDA butcher shop on one of my farms that I served. I had 3 creameries in my clientele. I had 4 or 5 orchards in my clientele. I had 1 in my family. And so those were like my key starting points, and they already had all the pieces in place. And then we're developing markets for them, and then beyond that, then we decide whether we're going to bring in sub-suppliers that'll just haul milk to them, like the raw milk, haul it over to this creamery as it grows, or we'll start a second creamery. And those are all next phase questions.
Okay.
But right now my job is to basically sell everyone out that I work with today. And then once we outgrow that, then we worry about increasing production.
Okay.
Now, if I don't have a product, I can bring on a farm. So like we have beef, chicken, pork, and dairy covered. But I've had mushroom producers. I've had, actually this morning, to be honest, one of my things I was in here for was to pick up Faithema natural juices.
Okay.
We're gonna represent those to our institutional clients to have 100% fruit juice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if you look at most bottles, it's like 4 or 5%, and then the alternative ingredients is some chlorinated water and whatever.
Corn syrup.
Yeah, corn syrup, whatever. So anyway, those are the kind of products that fit what we want to do. It's the products that you can't get anywhere else, that are fresh, local, healthy, wholesome products. And so we're adding that in. I just came from an orchard this morning, 78 acres in Smithsburg.
Wow.
They are true hustlers. I mean, they are on the road moving that product in front of consumers every day. And they're juicing all their fruit that is normally a waste, but they go ahead and juice it into cider. They have strawberry, raspberry, apricot, peach, and apple ciders.
Wow.
It's awesome. It's right in Smithsburg. So what we're doing is we're bringing that to the hospital, and we're saying this is natural sugars, all fruit sugars, with extreme amount of flavor, and they're doing healthy smoothies right now. So we're going to pitch them the local cider as like a flavor base. And so that's kind of what we do. That's our passion, is figuring out, we solve problems. So like farmers, like I grow this, but how do I turn it into dollars? Yeah. Well, every day we get up and try to figure that out. And then we also produce beef ourselves. So we built our farm to be a part-time farm because I always spent 8 to 10 hours on other people's farms. Okay. So every night we would do chores, and then I would try to make it to where there was no problems during the day. It didn't always work out. My employer was very flexible. Martin's Elevator was great. If I called him and said, hey, my cows are out, I got to run home. They were in agriculture, I was in agriculture, they understood. But we tried to keep it to a minimum. So what we did was we set it up with rotational grazing, and we set our paddock sizes up so that we only had to move cows every weekend.
Okay.
So they're pretty much good to go through the week, and then I feed in the evening, and it takes me about an hour. So we have that set up to be kind of our base of production and our home base for just office work and whatnot. And then we use this as our corporate office, and we come in here and bring like the Meritus representatives.
Okay.
And the institutional clients will have meetings here.
That's a good segue. So tell me about the partnership with Meritus, how that came to be, what that looks like right now, all the good stuff you're doing.
Right. Well, it was a referral. So one of my friends was a dietitian for Meritus.
Okay.
And I'm a nutritionist by trade, so we had a lot in common. And we were sitting at a church service together, and I told him what my passion was, and he said, "Well, we have a commitment for local, and you need to talk to our director and see what his thoughts are on your business model." And I said, "Well, that'd be great. Hook me up." And so he gave me an email, and we started going back and forth. I got an appointment. And I walked into his office, and the first words out of his mouth were, "I've been waiting for you." I was like, how often would you want a client to say that for you?
That's amazing. That's the best. Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And here they had been trying to solve this problem that we're solving on their own. They were trying to orchestrate all the products coming in from the farms. They were trying to deal with off-season gaps in the products, and then they were dealing with variability of the product themselves that they had to mix and match to try to make it work, because part of their certification is the accuracy of the nutrition that they deliver to patients.
Yeah.
So it's a whole nother level of nutrition, food service, and when we come in, we know all those standards, and we build all these supply chains to match exactly what they need. And they said, here's what we need: one phone call, one invoice, 90 farms. And that's what we deliver.
Wow.
So yeah, that's in a nutshell. That's what we do.
Sweet. As we start to wrap up here, like you said, we're dealing with orchards, some with dairy, some with specifically beef. I have just a lot of, what's the word I'm trying to find? Just a lot of admiration, not only for yourself, but just the industry in general. When you look at such cyclical niche like this is, and as you said, the volatility with tariffs and commodities going up and down, I think what you're doing, not only in just the agricultural field, is great, but how you're kind of moving these boundaries and trying to find like that one size fits all that still benefits everybody.
Yep.
So that's amazing. Where can people find you? Where can they find out more about Family Farm Direct? Yeah,
so we have socials. We have Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and we have our own website. It's familyfarmdirect.com. You can go on our e-store and buy direct certain products.
Okay.
And then if you're wholesale, then we can always connect you with our wholesale list and start talking about how to develop supply chains, because pretty much every institutional customer is a custom supply chain for their needs, and that's where I come in. So every day I wake up to make sure that those are steady and that they're high quality and they're meeting the needs of the customer. So we don't it's not one size fits all. So the Washington County schools are another big partnership that we're working on. We have a tentative order for 20,000 cheeseburgers for September.
Man.
There's a farm to school week, and so we're trying to work all of the pieces together to make it happen. And then we did a farm to school just north of here, and we fed 1,000 students some fresh beef and whole milk for the first time in 14 years.
Wow.
It was actually outlawed based on the nutritional standards that whole milk was out, and so they brought it back, and we took it in there, and it was a hit. I mean, we sold out of milk before they were all through. We took in 450, and we were out, and I think 600 students had gone through. And this was lunch. It wasn't even breakfast, when you're thinking about milk, right? And our milk, one of quality factors that we try to build into our milk is that it's A2A2. It's got the foundational protein that's higher digestibility. So 30% of the population would have irritation to some of the protein changes of milk over the years, and we solve that by going back to that foundational protein. It won't make a difference for everybody, but we are making an effort to do what we can to make it as enjoyable as possible for as many people. And that was one of the huge feedback loops that we've gotten from Meredith, is that the patients are always asking where it comes from.
Wow.
And so we're very excited. And we also make ice cream out of the A2 milk, which is higher digestibility as well.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Dude, great work. If you are a listener viewer, go to the website. You can get meat locally delivered to, picked up, whatever.
Yep.
Right now. Definitely take advantage of that. We need to talk more, dude. We need to talk more. This is this is just breadcrumbs. I want to learn more. But dude, keep killing it. You're doing awesome. Any final words?
You are what you eat, and we make food every day. So feel free to reach out with questions. One of the things that I commit to is being transparent and representing the farmers. So if you want to know anything about where your food comes from or why we do what we do, feel free to reach out. And I'm open book.
Good deal. Good deal. All right, guys. Until next time.